options that were put on the table when we talk about addressing this issue is now there is a one-fit-all policy. That means the bank loan interest scheme, etc., is the same for the low-cost purchaser and the same for the million-dollar property purchaser. They don't differentiate. So the first thing that has to be done is there should be a differentiation. You cannot treat the person who comes to a bank with a bus the same as a person who comes to the bank with a Rolls Royce. I always say that. That is number one. How do you do it? Very simple. Especially for first-time home buyers, they are entering the market for the first time after coming out from studies. So their income bracket is at a lower income. So perhaps they can, in other jurisdictions like Singapore, Hong Kong, the initial interest payments are lower, but as their economy gets better, then it is increased. Things like this. There are many options already being practiced in other countries. The other option is, of course, now sometimes the banks don't lend up to 90%, maybe even 80%. But then there will be an option that we have requested to study whether they can, for these first-time home buyers, give a bigger margin. And then, of course, there are many other schemes such as the rent-to-own scheme, whereby this is already in practice now by some private developers, whereby for the first initial 5 years, it will be by way of a rental. That rental will then be used as the down payment at the end of the 5 years, because in the 5 years, this person's economy would have become better. So there are many ways of addressing these issues, and I am happy to say that the minister, housing minister who was present with the Deputy Prime Minister at that meeting, MPN, said that in fact this is already being addressed and studied by the MOF. So the next call will be by the Minister of Finance, because they will decide, and the Bank Negara comes under them, and all commercial banks will then have to adjust accordingly to the new policy that's going to be made, which I'm very clear, I'm sure will happen before the end of the year, because the Minister of Housing has said the national housing policy will be announced before the end of the year. So that announcement will definitely require this issue of bank loan rejection rate to be finalized. Otherwise, you cannot have a national housing policy. So my view is that loan issue will be decided first, and then it will be one of the components of the national housing policy. All right? If there are no questions,